Welcome to the Exchange Daily. Starting this week, we're changing it up a bit. Each day from Monday through Saturday, we will focus on one of the 6 pillars of Metora Solutions' PAVE framework: policy-aware validation and estimation. This structure helps us deliver targeted, high-impact intelligence aligned with how federal and enterprise leaders actually evaluate and validate major IT, cyber, and acquisition investments under the FY 2026 NDAA. The weekly lineup runs as follows. Monday covers Pillar A on mission alignment and business outcomes. Tuesday focuses on Pillar B, policy and compliance, which is today's topic. Wednesday addresses Pillar C, cost, financial benchmarking, and workforce. Thursday covers Pillar D, technical viability and architecture. Friday is Pillar E, user experience and human systems integration. And Saturday wraps the week with Pillar F, security and risk. The FY 2026 National Defense Authorization Act is fundamentally shifting how the government evaluates and awards contracts, particularly for complex IT and cyber modernization efforts. Section 812 moves away from the old lowest overall cost alternative standard and instead requires a strict best value approach on GSA schedule orders. Evaluators must now weigh mission outcomes, capability durability, and long-term sustainment, rather than simply choosing the cheapest compliant option. For organizations pursuing cyber and AI programs, this change rewards proposals that can clearly demonstrate measurable return on transformation instead of relying on low price alone. Acquisition teams that have not yet retrained their source selection boards or updated their evaluation criteria are likely to face protests and misaligned awards in the coming months. This emphasis on best value is already influencing how the government manages challenges to contract awards. Section 875 introduces new DFARS language that allows agencies to withhold up to 5% of payments to incumbent contractors during frivolous GAO bid protests. The practical effect is to raise the financial cost of using protests as a delay tactic and to better protect the government's ability to move forward on time-sensitive cyber and infrastructure programs. Both incumbents and new entrants will now need to factor protest risk more carefully into their pricing strategies and transition plans. The era of low-friction protests as a routine competitive tool is coming to an end. At the same time, the rules governing how contracts are initially structured and definitized are also tightening. Section 814 requires more accurate reflection of contractor cost risk when negotiating profit margins on undefinitized contractual actions. While UCAs have long been used to accelerate delivery of cyber capabilities, loose profit calculations have often masked the true level of program risk. Going forward, both government and industry will need to produce tighter cost realism models much earlier in the undefinitized period. Programs that continue to rely on broad assumptions around UCAs are likely to face margin compression and increased audit scrutiny. These individual changes are part of a much broader regulatory overhaul now underway. Executive Orders 14.319 and 14.275 are driving the most significant federal acquisition regulation rewrite in years by prioritizing speed, end-user outcomes, and the removal of non-mission requirements from the procurement process. For AI and cybersecurity acquisitions in particular, evaluation criteria are narrowing to focus on verifiable performance, supply chain integrity, and direct contribution to warfighter lethality. Contracting officers are being directed to audit active solicitations against this new direction, and those that fail to do so risk downstream protests and implementation delays. Within this shifting policy environment, new expectations around AI systems themselves are also taking shape. Federal policy now explicitly requires documented processes to validate truth-seeking and ideological neutrality in AI tools used for decision support. This goes beyond basic technical accuracy and demands that agencies and contractors actively detect and mitigate embedded bias, hallucination risks, and partisan output. Establishing independent validation frameworks is quickly moving from a recommended governance practice to a contractual expectation. Organizations that delay putting these processes in place risk non-compliance findings as the acquisition rules continue to evolve. All of these policy developments are now colliding with very real operational pressures in the cyber domain. The rapid addition of actively exploited vulnerabilities to the CISA-KEV catalog, combined with short remediation deadlines, directly intersects with the new procurement rules. Section 812's best value emphasis and the tighter UCA profit requirements mean that proposals must now explicitly budget for and demonstrate the ability to maintain continuous KV compliance and supply chain illumination. Contractors that continue to treat cyber hygiene as a separate operational cost rather than an integrated acquisition deliverable will find themselves non-competitive under the FY 2026 framework. The policy and compliance environment has raised the bar for what constitutes a credible and executable cyber modernization offer. That's the exchange for today. Remember, guesswork isn't a strategy. We'll see you next time for the 5 minutes that secure your next 24 hours. The Exchange newscasts and newsletters are productions of Metora Solutions LLC. Metora is both a hub zone and a service-disabled veteran-owned small business. While every effort is made to keep details accurate as of publication time, readers and listeners should always confirm time-sensitive items, such as policy changes, budget figures, and timelines directly with official documents and briefings. The Exchange is for informational purposes only. It does not constitute legal, investment, procurement, security, compliance, technical, or any other form of professional advice. No attorney-client, advisor-client, or other professional relationship is created by listening to or reading this content. Always consult qualified professionals and validate with primary sources before taking any action. All information is from publicly available sources. All rights reserved. Copyright Metora Solutions LLC 2026.